Hi, I'm Carrie from Classic Cottage Art and Antiques in Bowling Green, Virginia. And today I thought I'd talk to you about prepping for furniture. And also what to look for when you are picking it or when you find it on the side of the road to see if it's worth saving or not. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Carrie and I'm owner at Classic Cottage Art and Antiques in Bowling Green, Virginia. And I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. Hit like on the video if you like it. Share it out to your friends who might need to know this information as well. And also hit the little bell so you can get notified next time I upload a video. So let's get started again. I'm working on an old piece of furniture. This is an old Armoire. I got it in an estate sale and it's seen better days. I've used it for storage at the shop for quite some time and it needs a little love, but I need to paint it. It was in the window for a long time. I thought maybe I won't paint it, maybe not. So I decided to go ahead and paint it. So it's tired looking. Let me just tell you, it's tired looking. So first of all, let me talk to you about what to look for when you're out looking for a piece of furniture to paint, if you don't already have one in your home. First of all, look for and make sure that it's sturdy. You know, that it's not got loose joints, because sometimes it's really difficult to repair joints if you're not familiar with woodworking techniques. In some cases you may have to take the entire piece of furniture apart and kind of rebuild it. So you kind of want to avoid that if you don't have to. Right. So what you really want to do if you're going to sell your furniture is you're going to want to find pieces that take the least amount of repair and preparation, because then you can turn them over faster and then you can also get a better profit on them because your time is worth money, right? Okay, so what to look for? You really want to make sure that dings in the gouges, this is a pretty big gouge. I don't know if you can see it right here. It's a pretty big gouge. I'm going to have to do quite a bit of fixing on this one, and I'll show you a little bit how I might try to do that in just a little bit. So if you can see down, I've already started some sanding. Let me scoot you down a little bit. Right down here, I've already started some sanding because it had been scratched up from being in the shop and using it for storage. There's also a place inside the drawer there, on top of the drawers, that I had to repair because there was a nail in there that would have caught on clothing had anybody decided to use it as clothing, and I'll show you how I repaired that too. What you also want to look for is it's sturdy. So this little piece right here, you can see it. Let me scoot you down so you can see it here. This drawer, and make sure your inside of your drawers aren't too funky too. You can replace bottoms of drawers. It's a little bit, and then look at there. I'm going to have to repair that too. I'm glad I turned this over. See this nail? I'm going to need to make sure that's in very good. I'm not going to hammer so it doesn't break your ears right now. But you're going to want to make sure that that little nail is in too, because if somebody puts something in the lower drawer, well, it's going to grab their clothing or whatever they put in it. So I will fix that before I paint, before I clean it up. But needs some work, huh? But what I wanted to show you was right here, this little guy right here, the little drawer slide is loose. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to repair that. I've got a few ideas already. This one seems to be working okay, but make sure that there aren't any missing pieces that you might have to repair. Things like that. Is it good? Is it solid? Is it got a lot of repairs? Is it going to require more work than you're willing to put into it? If you're a woodworker and this is great. If you love to do this kind of stuff, go for it. Like I said, if you're going to flip furniture, you want to take as little bit of time as you can to start flipping so you can flip more furniture and make more money, right? The next thing I would do with this piece is I would vacuum it out, and I've already done some of that here. And so I'm using all Dixie Belle Paint products. What I would use to clean this is Dixie Belle's White Lightning cleaner. Right here. It's a granular product. You've probably heard me talk about it before if you follow my channel. On Facebook, Classic Cottage Art Antiques on Facebook and Instagram. It's a granular product, and it probably, I forgot I had a microphone on, it probably just deafened you when I shook this. But what you want to do is mix it up, and it's like, I always forget, 2 heaping tablespoons to a gallon of hot water. I mix it up in a gallon jug, and then I transfer it into a spray bottle, which makes it a whole lot easier to apply. You can do it from a bucket, that's fine too, but I just tend to like the spray bottle better. If you put it in a spray bottle, be sure and label it White Lightning so that you know what it is. What we're going to do is, I like to take these, this one is well loved, can you tell? These Scotch-Brite type pads, I like this so it gets a lot of the extra dirt out. I've already done it to this side, and this piece had a lot of mildew and stuff in it from a previous time. It was when I first got it. It has set in the window, so some of the mildew smell, actually most of it is out, but when I reapplied water with the White Lightning, it actually brought back some of the smell. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do about that in just a minute. I've actually also, sometimes I will sand prior to cleaning, sometimes after. I'm going to take off the hardware. I'm not sure I'm going to do, I don't know if I'm going to replace the hardware on this one, but I may just paint it. There we go. Another tip, put the hardware where you remember where you put it. Sometimes I work on pieces for so long because I can't decide on the paint colors that I forget where I put the hardware, so be sure. This time I'm going to put it right here. Y'all help me remember, okay? All right, so basically all you do, it's really simple to clean with White Lightning. And first I'm going to say, if you have delicate skin or sensitive skin, use gloves. My hands are beat up, so I don't care, but I do take my rings off because I don't want to ruin any kind of plated rings or any kind of metal on my rings, just in case. So basically I'm just gonna, there we go, I'm just gonna spray, let it sit for a second. And you can take, if you have a wet dry sponge, sanding sponge, you can actually sand and clean at the same time. Sometimes I do that. A lot of times I'll just take this Scotch-Brite thing, and I'm just gonna show you up here for now. It's really simple, so it doesn't drip, and it does a really good job of cleaning. And you'll find that you get a lot of the dirt that you wouldn't have expected to get off just with the White Lightning cleaner. Sometimes if it's a really heavy dose of dirt, you might need to do it a couple times. But this one might be okay. So then what I would do is I would take plain water and then rinse it, because you don't want the residue to prevent your paint from sticking. So now I'm going to just, oops. Okay. I'm just going to rinse it off, and I'm going to wipe it with an old rag. And I like to use white rags because then I can see exactly how much dirt's coming off of it. Okay. And at this point, I will double check to see if, and see, look at all the dirt that I still came off of that rag. That is just, that's how good White Lightning is. This also tells me that this is a bleeder, which I already knew because it's an old, between 40s and 50s is the age of this Armoire, and that type of wood tends to bleed almost every time. So I pretty much knew it was going to be a bleeder, but this confirms it because I knew it was already cleaned before. But if it keeps coming back dirty on your rag, once you've washed it a couple of times and rinsed it, it's definitely a bleeder. Just one of those tips for you. Okay. And I'm just going to have to let that dry, maybe clean it again. Okay. What do I do if I find a piece of furniture that has a lot of nicks and scratches and things like that? They're not super deep, but they need to be fixed. I'm gonna take my Dixie Belle Mud, which is actually probably similar to spackle in consistency, or drywall mud in consistency. This one needs to be stirred up, and I'm going to use a little spatula. I sell it with a spatula, and I'm just going to mix it up in here because it needs to be stirred up. They also recommend to keep this in the refrigerator or in a very cool place, cool, dry place. It lasts longer. See, it's got the consistency of drywall spackle or drywall mud spackle. And I'm just simply going to, I've got this place right here. Let's look at this place right here, I don't know if you can see it or not. And I'm just gonna see if I can, and this may take a couple of applications because this is kind of a deep gouge. If this were not to work, if I had a deep gouge right here, I would probably use Bondo. Just follow the directions on the Bondo, but this is super easy, and this may take a couple of applications. But it fills in nicely, and that's kind of a mess. What you don't want to do is never ever put this down your drain unless you want a really expensive plumbing bill, so just heads up there. Don't put it down your drain. All right. I'm just going to wipe off the excess so I can see what I've got going on here. So, and that's already filled it in some, and I may need a couple of applications. And you can paint right over this once it's dry. You can also sand it smooth, which is really, really handy. I already told you I had a nail in this area here. You can probably see a little bit where I have Dixie Mud on it already. Someone put the nail in and it went over top of the board rather than into the board, so I had to bring that out so it wouldn't catch on somebody's clothing. But it needs another coat because that one's pretty much dry already. And I'm just going to put it in there. Sorry about the not being able to see. I'm filming by myself today, so. And I'm going to wipe back the excess always. I do not put it back. Once I put the Dixie Mud on my product, I don't put it back in the jar because I don't want to contaminate what's left in the jar, okay? So, like I said, don't put this down your drain. If you get it on your hands, I always like to have a wet paper towel ahead of time so that I know if I'm going to get all over me, because I usually do. Just wipe it off and throw it away. Don't put it down your drain. Don't even wash your hands with this stuff. Take a wet paper towel. There's another spot. I haven't cleaned that yet, so I'm going to wait. But there's a bunch of surface scratches up here, but I think I'm going to go ahead and put the Dixie Mud up here and all these scratches too, to make it a nice smooth finish. What else? Next thing I would do, once I clean it, and I'm going to go back and finish cleaning the whole piece. I've already done this area here, and it's not quite dry enough to do the next step. But what I would do next is use our product called Boss. Boss stands for blocks odors, stains, and stops bleed through. This piece, like I told you, is going to be a bleeder, and I know that right up front because of the way it cleaned and the age of it, and I can just tell. If you do this for a while, you can tell. I'm going to do all of our products. You want to make sure you shake or stir them very well. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to apply this, and I'm going to let it sit. What this does for me, it's going to stop the bleed through, but it's also going to stop the odor. If there's any of that mildew odor left from when I first got it, it's not really noticeable now, but if it were to get damp again, it might. So I'm going to seal it in. And when I use this, I'm actually going to cover the entire piece in Boss so that nothing, well, for one thing, I don't want it to bleed. Secondly, if there's any smell, I'm going to make sure it's sealed in. And I might even go up underneath of it and flip it up on its back and do the underside. I once had an old washstand that had really bad water, I don't know if it was water damage or just that it was old wood, and I put 2 coats of Boss on that and painted over, and there was no smell at all. So it works, trust me, I know. All right, that's pretty much for prep and how to look for a piece of furniture. Again, make sure your furniture pieces are sturdy, that there's no loose joints that you can't repair, because like I said, I do have some tables at home that I actually have to take the entire table apart and reassemble it with glue and that sort of thing. Also look out for things I forgot to mention. Look out for bad repairs. Sometimes you'll find a piece of furniture that looks like it's in good shape, but it's been repaired and it's been repaired badly. So look out for those, because sometimes those are actually more of a nightmare than repairing just a break or something. Because when you have to, fill in screw holes and that sort of thing from somebody else's attempt to fix something. So just look out for those kind of things as well. So I hope these were helpful tips. I will come back and probably paint this with you once everything's cleaned up and dried, and I'll keep you abreast of how we're going to finish this guy. Please make sure that you subscribe and tell your friends for this information. And also hit the little bell to make sure you're notified next time I upload a new video. So thanks for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.